Hello students, in today's class we are going to say about the different types of evaporators. Based upon the raw material which are used in the food industry, the types of evaporators also vary because of this complex composition and the structure of the raw materials. These are the different types of the evaporators. First, we are going to see about the long tube vertical evaporator. This type is mostly used because of the low cost per unit capacity, and the construction is very simple and the heat transfer performance also very high. And this type of evaporator cannot be used for the crystallizing solution, that is for a crystallization of the sugar process. We cannot go for this type of long tube vertical evaporators. Because of this, the crystallization process occurs at the short time, but it will take a long duration. There are two types of the evaporator glazing, that is the rising flame evaporator and the falling flame evaporator. This is the rising flame evaporator where the steam is given at the top of the equipment and the feed is given at the bottom of the equipment, and the long tube vertical tube is called as calandria. The heat transfer process occurs in the calandria, and the excess water is evaporated at the top of the equipment, and it is goes to for the condensation process. And the condensate is the final product, that is the after removal of the what excess water we will get the thick liquid, that is called the condensate. And this type of evaporator can be used for the can be used in the milk industry, and also in the paper industry, and it also to primarily to concentrate the non-salting liquors. And long tube vertical falling flame evaporator, in this case the gravity is used. In last case, the feed is given from the bottom of the equipment. In the falling flame evaporator, the feed is given at the top of the equipment. Both steam and the feed run in the parallel direction, from upward to the downward. And in calandria, the heat transfer process will occur, and we get the condensate at the top bottom of the equipment, and the vapor collected at the bottom can go for the condensation process. Okay, this type of evaporator can be used to concentrate non-salting liquids and the more viscous liquid. And the principal application has been used for the citrus juices. For the concentration of the citrus juices, this type of evaporator can be used, and concentrate high heat sensitive material, that is the materials which is if it is exposed to the high temperature it will damage. That type of materials can be used in this process. And next one is the short tube evaporator. In this case, the tube, that is calandria, is very short, but the breadth of the evaporator is very wide. And this process is the same. The steam is given at the side of the equipment, and also in the feed, also in the side, both in the steam and feed in the opposite direction. And the vapor is the only difference from the other equipment. It is only the short one, and the heat transfer occurs very quickly, and it is first developed one, and it is commercially available, commercially used in largest number of the unit operation. This type of evaporator is used mainly in the sugar industry. The short tube evaporator is used and also used for the non-corrosive material. Main advantages of this tube evaporator is inexpensive and efficient high heat transfer at high temperature, and if it is scaling process occurs inside the equipment, it is easily removed. Disadvantages is the at low temperature pure heat transfer will occur, and if it is a liquid is highly viscous, we cannot go for this type of evaporator. And floor space also, it requires a floor space inside the because it is the wide, the breadth is wider in this case. And horizontal tube evaporator, next one. In the horizontal tube evaporator, the tube is constructed horizontally. The tubes are arranged to maximize the heat transfer area between the steam and the liquid. That is the main purpose. It is used for the making distilled water for the boiler feed, and also used in the pharmaceutical industry, paper and the pulp industry. It is relatively low cost and requires a very low space, and it is not suitable for salting or the scaling liquids, and it has the smaller capacity than the other evaporators. This one of the image of the horizontal tube evaporator. Then forced circulation evaporator. uh, In case of forced circulation evaporator, the fluid is pumped from the main evaporator chamber through an external steam jet, and the dilute feed is again sent to the recirculation loop. This is the main advantages of this evaporator. The condensate from the tube is again recirculated inside the equipment to maximize the heat transfer, and to get the highly concentrated liquid we can go for this forced circulation evaporator. These evaporators are used in the mining industry and also used for evaporate corrosive or highly viscous solution. In this evaporator, the heat transfer rate is very high, and it is more efficient to remove the excess water, and continuous liquid flow, low amount of salting, scaling and fouling also takes place, but at the lower rate. Because of these advantages, it is very expensive and need power for the, for if it the condensate is again sent to the equipment. For that, the circulating pump is required. These are the image of the forced circulation evaporator. Next one is agitator thin flame evaporator. Very highly viscous liquid can be used in this agitator thin flame evaporator. An agitator is nothing but a mixer. It can be used to mixing the feed inside the evaporator, that is thick fruit or vegetable purees or a highly concentrated sugar syrups can be used in this agitator thin film evaporator. The the agitator is fixed at the center of the equipment to mixing the highly viscous liquid. The maintenance are difficult because of the internal moving parts, and this can be used for, as I said, it can be used for the highly viscous liquid and or liquids requiring the very low residence time. Residence time, that is the feed resident at inside the equipment is the low resident, it is the residence time. And this evaporator exhibit a poor heat transfer performance on the low viscosity liquids. That's all for today's class, students. Thank you.